All right, hello, this is Melissa, your insurance exam queen, and I am super excited to introduce you to Paul Jackson. He is from Successful Exam Tutors, and he holds a special place in my heart because his wife is the one who hired me to get me started to become the insurance exam queen, and I absolutely love both of them. But Paul has a special skill. Instead of teaching the insurance exam, he teaches the securities exam. So you may or may not have heard about the securities exam, but it's actually a really common step that once you are in insurance, that you will also add your securities license. So Paul, if you want to talk a little bit about what you do with the securities license, and then I want to offer Paul's services that he can help you with your securities exam.
Thank you, Melissa. And yes, I hold that woman, Teresa, in fond regards in my heart too.
She's like the best woman,
Yeah,
right?
yes, exactly. That's why I married her. I'm surprised she married me, but yes. All right. Thank you for that introduction. I actually have a background in insurance myself. I started with John Hancock back in the horse and buggy days. I actually got my first license in 1982. And as soon as I got it, they sent me off to get my Series 6, my FINRA Series 6 license. And I go, well, what's that? They said, just go here and study and get this thing. Okay. And so I thought, all right, well, I thought I was learning about insurance. And now I got to learn about something about stocks and bonds and mutual funds. And I thought, what is this? And then they explained how the two fit for me. So here I was in that point in time, I was selling life insurance and learned it quite well and loved that market quite well. Stuck my toe in property casualty for about 6 months and realized it's not for me. Just mentally, it wasn't my, you way of thinking. So, and then but the security side I loved also. So over time, I kept doing insurance for like 38 years. But my primary focus was in the securities world. As you know, insurance, you can do securities, and in the securities world, you can do insurance. There's a big overlap. And pause here for a second. Um, a lot of people don't understand just how great this market is. When I entered this market, it was a tough market. We were in a deep recession. We had 18.5% unemployment at that particular time, and finding somebody who had money to buy something was just a miracle. Finding money to go out and sell something was hard. But now we happen to be in a period where there is something like, let me have a number here, $124 trillion that's going to change hands in the next, uh, within the next, actually about 19 years. Baby boomers made all this money, and they have all this money tucked away in retirement plans and homes and everything else, and they're going to be passing it on. So they need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to help them with that. In addition, financial services itself, that would include banking, insurance, security side, employs something like almost 7 million people a year, and they always have openings of about 1.5 million every year. So it is a huge area that you can go into. And the beautiful thing, it doesn't matter what your personality is. You don't have to go into sales. You can go into operations. You can go into management. You can go into legal. You can go into accounting. There's so many different areas that you can fit into this world, but you got to get licensed. So we have this entity called the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, who oversees this industry. Securities and Exchange Commission set up a division called FINRA. And FINRA is what we call in the industry the cops for the SEC. So they lay down all the ground rules, what we can do and can't do, and they lay down the ground rules of what it takes to get into the industry. And part of that is certain exams. And once you pass an exam, you become registered within the securities division. And there's different exams to allow you to go into different aspects of our industry. So the first one is we have what's called SIE. And the SIE came about in 2018. And think of if you're going to be an attorney, you do the LSTATs, or you're going to be, my son's a physician, and he had to take the MCATs. to get into medical school. Well, to get into the securities world, you have to take the SIE, Securities Essentials exam. So you cannot begin to get into this world without the SIE. The good thing is you don't have to be sponsored. So we have people who are still in college that'll take them. We have people who are older and in a different industry that might want to come into our world or add this uh, to their existing platform they have in insurance or whatever. And so they start with SIE, and it's not an easy exam. It is the entry exam, but it's just a little bit of everything. Give you an example. You're going to learn from the very first day the language of our industry, which involves law, it involves econ, it involves accounting, it involves securities, it involves banking, and you have to learn 5 different disciplines and the vocabulary that goes with those and how they intertwine them. And so then you learn a little bit about each topic in our world. And I'm talking a little bit, like we have this thing called options that scares everybody. They're really quite easy, but options on the SIE are like 3 pages in the textbook. When you get over to Series 7, if you're ever going to sell options, you have to have a Series 7 exam. Those options now are 33 pages. When you do margins, you borrow money on the SIE, when we talk about it's about 2.5 pages. On the Series 7, it's 37 pages. So there's a lot of difference in these, but the problem is I have a lot of people go in and think, oh, I can take the exam. I had a gentleman just recently who started with me and said, hey, I'm already a high school principal for 28 years. And he said that before that, I had a degree in engineering. He said, I have absorbed information. This will not be hard for me. I said, I'm glad, I had to study. I didn't absorb it that well. And so, but the key is, please don't underestimate this exam. Oh, no, I got it. So we'd go through it, go through it, go through it. He wouldn't study. He'd take an exam and be happy with 50% or something on sample test. And lo and behold, he goes and sits for his exam and he fails it. And then it kind of woke him up. And he said, this is different from a college course. This is actually, you're entering into a career. And this entity, FINRA, does not want you in unless you know this material. He said, I like to go through this again. And this time I'll really apply myself. And he did, and he passed. He's doing wonderful in the career now. So in your world, if you're in the insurance world, you have your insurance licenses, P&C, life, probably, maybe even commercial. And now you may want to add some additional products. You're in a person's home or business, and you find out that they have retirement plans, they have personal plans, corporate plans, this sort of thing. They may need life insurance. And in the process, if you had the extra degree, then you could go ahead, or excuse me, exam, then you could go ahead and you could sell them mutual funds. You could sell them variable annuities. You could sell them variable life or variable universal life. But you can't do it without the SIE, the Series 6, and the Series 63 exams. Those would be kind of like the foundation for you. Easy to get. You have to do some studying. Some people find this a little difficult, and that's why we have a business. We have a business to help you. We'll tutor one-on-one online like we are now, and we're looking in the future about possibly offering some classes that would be online or recorded that you could buy. But right now we are tutoring in person, and we have our website, successfulexamtutors.com. If you're interested, please feel free to look at that and reach out to us. And we absolutely thank Melissa for the opportunity to speak with you today and visit with Melissa again. She's a wonderful person.
Yeah. So when you have your, so like when we think about like insurance is asset protection, protecting your house, your car, but also protecting your family's income. And so like when I started working at the corporate company teaching the exam, I'm like, my title was like financial instructor. I'm like, what? Like, I don't teach finances.
Yeah.
But insurance is like step one of helping people in the financial world, and the securities is like step two. So like when you take your insurance exam, like your life and health exam, you know, like you learn about life insurance and how, you know, there's the variable part, but we don't really go into it too much because it's not a big piece of your exam. So I'm like, don't worry about it too much.
That's right.
Just know you need 2 licenses. And I say you need
Yes.
2 lines of authority. You need a life license and a securities license. So the security license is that second component. So this is just taking it to the next level of I'm helping people protect their assets, but now you're going to help people with their money, managing their money, building their money, growing their money. And that's what the security side is. So
Exactly.
that's a very common next step that people will have. And depending on which company you work for, there are certain companies that they will want you to get all your insurance lines, and then they'll tell you now you need to get your securities without telling you that you needed that at the beginning. You're like,
Exactly.
so you have all these other tests that you need to take. And I would say, like, I studied, so like you said, the SIE is the securities essential, securities something essential exam. I don't know. But it's the first one that you take. It's kind of like the foundational exam that you take before you get into
Yes.
all the others. And I studied for it myself. And I took it, and I had to purposely fail because my job was to see how good the corporate company I worked for, how good their course was. But I got a 67, and I don't know how I did it.
Good.
But I did take that exam, and it was a lot of information. And
Yeah.
like you said, it gives you little bits of everything
Everything.
about the securities world. And so having a person who can explain it to you, who's been there, who understands it, and especially Paul, I like the way that you talk because you'll share stories and so similar to like how I do, you'll share stories and examples, ways of making it stick that relate to the person's life. So if you're in the process of taking the securities exam and you need that additional support and help from a tutor who understands it, who's taken it, who's been in that world, that's who Paul is under the Successful Exam Tutors. That's the website that you can find them in. Now, Paul, I think I know the answer to this question, but I want to confirm. With the insurance world, you have to take, certain states require that you have to take a state-approved course before you're allowed to test. Securities, it doesn't require that, right? Like anybody can just walk in and take the test, or do you have to take a course?
Yeah, it's a little different. Number one, it's not on the state level, it's on the federal level.
Right.
So you take the federal exam for the SIE. We talk about being sponsored. You do not have to be sponsored by what we call a broker-dealer, like a Merrill Lynch or a Wells Fargo or a Goldman Sachs. You do not have to be sponsored. You can just sign up and take it. Go to FINRA.org and you can sign up and read all about it and take it. However, you after you take that exam, what are you going to do with it? If you have no authority to sell anything, you now have the authority to go into someone's office and say, hey, I'm looking to get into this career. Or your securities or your insurance company that wants you. We have a lot of insurance students who say, you know, I'm with such and such insurance company. And they say, I have to get my Series 6 and 63 and maybe even 65. But I have to start with this SIE thing. Yeah, you do. So the first part you can do yourself. The second part, Series 6, anything else, you have to be sponsored by your employer who has to be licensed in the securities world. With a SIE and a Series 6, you can sell all the mutual funds in the world. You can sell your variable products. You cannot go outside of your state. So if you're on like especially border states and you have somebody across the border, or you have somebody that you know, is a snowbird down south somewhere, then you have to add the 63 because the 63 goes back to your states, Melissa. And what the 63 does is there was another entity besides FINRA, the NASAA, that came in and said, we are going to require every security out there to be registered with every single state. We will set up one organization, and before you can come sell to our people in our states, you're going to have that security registered. And we will accept your federal registration for a fee. So the state saw a way to make money. And then they said, item number two, you're going to send a person in to do that. We will register that person. Now, you don't have to go through any lengthy process. You just have to take this Series 63 exam. And we think it's one of the easier ones. You take that, and then you're free to go into any state, anywhere, because you can get appointed by your own company to sell in any state out there. It might cost you $10 to go there.
So with this question, so yes, so once you take the SIE and you can actually take the SIE anytime, it doesn't
Right.
matter what job you have, that actually makes you more employable to certain companies that you have the
It does.
SIE. But
Very much.
in terms of taking the SIE, like, could they just use you, or do they need to get anything else to be able
No,
to pass that exam?
they can use us. We'll tell you what study material to use. We'll take you through the study material, get your grade up to the point where you need it to be, and then we'll show you where to go on the FINRA site. You sign up for it to take the exam. You actually take it at a proctored exam site.
Similar to the insurance, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Perfect. So if they're beginning to get into it, or if they're in the middle, like no matter what, get with Paul with Successful Exam Tutors. He's going to help you out. So he can show you through the whole process of what it is you need to do, what you need to study. He will study with you, walk you through the process. Or if you're in the middle of studying and you're not getting it and you're failing and you need help, go to Paul. He will help you. So right now, the website, Successful Exam Tutors. Right now, it is just one-on-one tutoring. Potentially down the line, he'll have some, classes and courses. You know, me as the insurance exam queen, I'm trying to get him like, I got courses. You got to help people 24/7.
That's because you're so talented, Melissa.
Yep. So check him out. They're definitely who I recommend when it comes to the securities world. Like I said, I have spent nights at Paul's house. Like they're my family. I love them. They're such good people, him and his wife. This would be the one person I'd recommend for Securities. He's going to take care of you. He's such an amazing man. And thank you so much, Paul, for being available for my
Can
audience.
I add one last thing real quickly?
Yeah.
If a person contacts us, let us know that they are coming from you, Melissa or Exam Queen. And what we will do is we will give you extra hours at no cost.
Oh, look at that. See how amazing he is? So yeah, so just let him know I found you from the insurance exam queen. Exactly. I'm ready to pass my securities exam, and he will take care of you. That is amazing. Thank you so much, Paul.
Sure thing. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I'm sending you guys all the loves, all the vibes to pass your insurance and your securities exams. And Successful Exam Tutors is the place to go to get you help with your securities. All the love and vibes. You guys have an amazing day.